I have two brief questions I'd like to ask, if I may.
Hi, welcome to Left Foot Media. My name is Brendan Malone and you're watching The Daily Question. Let me start with a little bit of an apology for those who were sitting there by their computers yesterday with great anticipation, waiting for their YouTube notification to let them know that I had posted Monday's episode of The Daily Question. I'm sorry, it never happened. I forgot to mention last week that yesterday was a public holiday in New Zealand, so I wasn't going to be making a video. Instead, I got up at 3 a.m. and with a good mate of mine, we drove a couple of hours up the road and then we hiked into some beautiful, pristine New Zealand bush and we spent the day hunting deers. It was just really, really gorgeous. We tracked up this gorge right up above the snow line into a couple of feet of snow most of the day. Spent 8 hours just tramping and hunting for deer. It's just such a great day, but no video. So for those who were sitting there yesterday with tears in your eyes and I can't do this, I need my daily fix of the Daily Question. First of all, you might want to get some more hobbies. And number two, I'm sorry. Without any further ado though, today's question of the day: what does the failure of Solo, a Star Wars story mean? This film has now officially tanked. In its second weekend, it dropped 65% in its box office returns. This is a film now that, according to a report that has come out in the last day or so, is going to lose upwards of $50 million for Disney. $50 million. Even if it doesn't lose that much, the indications are that this is absolutely not going to turn a profit. And we are talking here about a Star Wars film. And already the excuses have started flying thick and fast. To me, it is the most bizarre thing to watch. It is almost like someone from Disney or from Lucasfilm has said, hey, everyone get your thinking caps on and come up with the most interesting sounding excuse for why the franchise is tanking. But whatever you do, make sure this has got nothing to do with the real reason why the franchise is actually tanking. I've heard excuses about fatigue. People are claiming that there is Star Wars fatigue now. I'm sorry, but this is just truly bizarre. Go and look at Marvel and then come back and tell me if you think that franchise fatigue is a real thing if you are producing quality films. There's another excuse that's been doing the rounds in the last couple of days, suggesting that the problem was marketing. They failed to market this movie well. The trailers just didn't do enough for the film. Well, I'm sorry, I think that's wrong for a couple of reasons. Number one, the trailers were actually better paced and had more exciting, or a sense of sort of palpable excitement, than what the actual film did. The film was just slow in places. The trailers made it seem like it was going to be a lot more fast paced than what it actually was. And secondly, that's all they had to go on. The trailers have mined the best parts out of the film and put them together to give you a sense of what you might experience if you go and see this film. There was really not much more they could do to market this film any better, right? So these excuses are flying around thick and fast. None of them are actually acknowledging the fact that Disney, Lucasfilm, the new regime has managed to alienate a huge portion of the existing fan base, and they have managed to make a whole lot of other potential new fans so disinterested that they're not willing to part ways with their hard-earned cash to go and see this film in the cinema. Now, some people are already attacking the boycotters, those people who chose to boycott the film, and they're saying, oh, it's those boycotting fans, it's their fault, they're ruining Star Wars. If it wasn't for them, things would be awesome. I'm sorry if you're making that excuse. I think you're missing the point. First of all, most people, as I understood it, weren't boycotting the film in its entirety. Yes, some were doing that, but the majority of people who boycotted, as I understood it, and based on the communications I've had with people who weren't going to see the film or involved in some sort of boycott, was that it was a soft boycott. And what they were going to do was they weren't going to go and see the film opening weekend, but then they were going to go and see it the next weekend. Well, the next weekend, the film dropped by 65%. And secondly, and even more importantly, this excuse completely misses the point. The point is that you shouldn't be blaming fans who are so disinterested and so upset by their beloved mythology and their beloved characters that they're no longer willing to part ways with their hard-earned cash to go and see a Star Wars movie. That's not their fault. That makes them discerning viewers. That's people who are saying, you know what, I don't like the quality of the content that you are creating, so I'm not going to give you my money. The opposite of that is people who have no discernment whatsoever and who are nothing more than sheeple and who will go and watch any old turd that Disney is willing to churn out. So you're missing the point if you're trying to blame the boycotters. What does this all mean? Well, it means that Star Wars as a franchise is now teetering on the verge. Now, this is not a good thing at all. Basically, what's happened here is that under Disney, Lucasfilm, the new regime, Star Wars is tanked. It's hit a massive brick wall. Not even Lucas managed to do that with the prequels, but somehow Disney, Lucasfilm have actually done that. They've tanked the franchise, and I guarantee you something else. Episode 9 is not going to solve the problem for them. Episode 9, I'm almost certain of this, is going to be another failure. At the very least, Episode 9 is probably just going to maybe break even or not much more than that. It's not going to be a huge boon for them. It's not going to be a box office win. Why do I say that? Why am I making that prediction? Well, look at Solo. Solo was a standalone Star Wars film, right? It had nothing to do with The Last Jedi, which alienated so many fans and frustrated the heck out of them. It was a completely separate trilogy. This was a film where you could potentially put the trilogy aside and say, well, I can just go and watch this standalone film and judge it on its merits. Yet people chose not to turn up. How do you think those same people who chose not to turn up because of The Last Jedi are going to react when you produce the follow-on film from The Last Jedi? They are probably not going to go and see this film. There's a real danger here now that Disney, Lucasfilm, could go down in history as the organization that completely destroyed one of the greatest and most profitable franchises in cinematic history. The franchise which invented the concept of the summer blockbuster. And that's the context that I think a lot of people are missing here. All of the people making these excuses, oh, it's about marketing, oh, it's about fatigue, it still was one of the top 4 openings, It's like you're missing the point. This is a Star Wars movie you are talking about. This is not some indie art house film. This is not some experimental action genre. This is the grandpappy of grandpappies of modern cinema, of modern cinema, blockbuster cinema hits. This is Star Wars that you are talking about, and this is the situation that we now find ourselves in. It ain't looking too flash. The floor is now open. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so please let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you like the content I'm creating, please support me on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. And for those of you who've been emailing and tweeting questions at me, please be assured I'm going to get onto your questions. I'm going to open the viewer mailbag this week, and next week I'm going to start answering those questions in episodes of The Daily Question. If you've got a question that you want to send to me or a piece of news that you want me to talk about, the details for how you can contact me are in the description for this video below. That's right, I can hear my theme music too. I'll see you tomorrow on The Daily Question. Thanks for watching.